it was a very hard decision. I didn't know what to do or who I could ask. Should I talk to him? And if I talked to him, what if he was already one of them? Would he stop seeing me as his father? Or would he see me as the enemy who could betray him and his cause? And if so, would I be risking my life and the lives of my family? We didn't know him anymore. We were always a very close family. Every year, we look forward to going somewhere new on vacation, and my wife Helen and the children and I would plan it together, and there was no one more eagerly awaiting that time to go than Tommy. He was doing well in school, A's and B's. He was on the soccer team. He would bring home his friends who were always welcome. And he especially loved and protected his younger sister, Jenny. They were very close. And he started changing. Not all at once. For a while, it seemed like there were two Tommies. He would tell us he was going to soccer practice, and then a friend would call, saying, ask him where he was. And when we asked him about that, he said, well, he was late, and he got there right after his friend called. After a while, he stopped even pretending to go to soccer practice. And one day we realized that none of his friends came over anymore. He was too busy. Busy with what? When he wasn't at school or rushing off to some mysterious meeting, he was up sitting in his room at his computer. And then suddenly, he needed privacy, a lock on his bedroom door. The privacy. We were a family that wouldn't think of barging into a room if the door was shut. We would knock. He knew that. We all wondered what was going on. Jenny jokingly asked him if he had a secret girlfriend. Now, the old Tom would have joked back, his secret girlfriend, only one? I have a whole harem. Instead, he lashed out at her, told her to mind her own business. We tried to talk to him, telling him if there was any problem, no matter what, that we would be there for him. We could talk it out. But he just brushed us off, said he was fine. My wife told me not to worry. Teenagers often go through different phases. It'll pass. And once he reaches 20, he'll put all this behind him. And then one day, it was a Sunday afternoon. We were all sitting in the living room, and Tom, as usual, was shut up in his room. Suddenly, there was a clatter on the stairs, and as Tom was running down the stairs in a very agitated state, and we tried to find out what was going on, and he literally pushed us aside, almost knocking his mother over, and he rushed out. For some reason, I went upstairs, and I found the door to his bedroom wide open. In his rush, he had forgotten to turn off his computer, and what I saw there chilled me to the bone. It was an email message. We're set for next week. Date and time to be set tonight. You will hear from Operative 47 with instructions tonight at 2000 hours. And a flashing message saying, delete this message. I deleted the message, and I looked around. A particular book caught my eye. It was on the nightstand next to his bed, and he had a plain cover, but when I opened it, I saw it was an instruction book on how to build a bomb. It had the best internet sources for material and further information in detail about the most effective ingredients of destruction. I'd had enough. I shut the door. I didn't want my wife or children to see this, and I didn't want Tom to know that he left the door open. I had to think about what I was going to do. I agonized over this for 3 days. How could this have happened? We weren't haters. Where did he get this from? And what was this mysterious mission? And could I live with myself knowing what I knew? What if people got killed? And I could have stopped it. But how could I accuse my own son of being a terrorist? How could I turn in my own son? And there was nobody I could talk to about this. I certainly not Helen. She would have insisted on talking to Tommy, and that I couldn't allow. We didn't know him anymore. Finally, I called the FBI, found one of the few payphones left in existence, and made a call that couldn't be traced to me, and I told them that I had a tip. James Bond would have been proud of me. I wore gloves to hide my fingerprints and a handkerchief over my mouth to disguise my voice. I named Tommy as someone who might be linked to a terrorist organization, gave them our address, and hung up right away. It took only one day. The next day, 2 men came to the house asking to speak to Tommy. I had just left for work. For some reason, Tom didn't go to school that day. He was up in his room. When my wife asked us what they wanted, they presented their FBI badges and asked again to see Tom. My wife called him down, asked them why they wanted him. They didn't answer her. And when Tom came down, they took him aside had a private conversation with him. And they went with him upstairs to his bedroom and had him unlock the door. Now, while this was going on, my wife called me very upset. I rushed home to find 2 very determined men going through his room with a defiant Tommy sitting on his bed. I told them I was Tommy's father and asked what was going on. Did they have a warrant for this? They showed me a warrant and said that based on what they'd found, they would have to confiscate his books and his computer, and that Tommy would have to go with them for further questioning. Tommy was handcuffed and led out of the room. Helen asked them what he was charged with, and they gave us a number to call for more information. And Tommy was let out. This is a month ago. We hired a lawyer right away. He isn't optimistic. The FBI found what they called incriminating material, linking him to a cell of terrorists who were planning to bomb a municipal market at noon when most people would be shopping. Because of the information Tom gave the FBI, they were stopped in time. I don't want to think about what they may have done to get that confession. There were hundreds of people who could have been killed or wounded. I did the right thing, but my son, Tom, if there's one thing that might help, maybe Tom didn't forget to shut the door to his room. Maybe he wanted me to find out what was going on and trusted me to do something about it. Maybe. But what I had to do will poison me for the rest of my days.
Wow.
Wow.
Amazing.